Namaskar, good morning. Welcome once again. I am Bhuvan Apurva and you are with Editorial Edge, the daily news analysis on StudyIQ IAS English, where we just take a look not just at the news, but also the analysis behind the news, taking out actionable points for us to consider for use not just in the prelims, but also in the interviews and further on, to the mains and then on to the interviews. So today is the 15th. Once again, I welcome each one of you, those who are watching me live and those students who will be watching this throughout the course of the day and in the other hours to come. All right. So on the agenda for today is again a very important article. Good morning, Bulbul. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. So on the agenda today is a topic that is of extreme importance. I cannot overstate this. Okay. Again, it's to do with women and child development. So you can expect questions not just in the prelims, but mains for sure. Okay. You will use eventually some of the information that you will learn here today in the course of the next 60 minutes, for sure in the GS papers, as well as extensively. You can use them in the essay paper. If you by chance get a topic that is to do with, say, social sector or women and child development, well, if you are not including today's topic of discussion, the answer is inherently incomplete. Okay. And then when you move on to the interviews, where your opinion is judged, well, ICDS, the topic of our discussion today, Integrated Child Development Scheme, well, obviously that is a commonly asked question. Okay. At least you should have an overview of the whole discussion, the whole project, what it exactly does, what are its challenges, what is the way forward, and what exactly is the goal being served by the ICDS program. Okay. So today's topic of discussion is totally on Integrated Child Development Scheme. So we'll start with that. Okay. The article being picked from the Hindu today. I would suggest that after the class, you go ahead and have a look at the article. It's been written by Bibek Debroy. Okay. Again, a very prominent personality, someone who has served at various capacities in the present government. So my suggestion would be that after the class is over, go ahead, read the article, okay, so that you are able to concretize and solidify whatever you have learned in this next 60 minutes to come. Okay. Thereafter, we'll take a look at the different schemes under ICDS, because again, ICDS originally had, say, 4-5 sub-schemes under it. Thereafter, now you have, say, something else that has come up, which is called Poshan 2.0. Okay. Poshan is the Hindi word for nutrition, okay, nourishment. So something that has come up recently is Poshan 2.0. So we'll take a look. What was the original goal? What was the progress? And now what is the strategy being employed for women and child development, especially the scope of the Integrated Child Development Scheme. At the same time, as we always do, we'll take a look at some previous year questions and a mains question that you can expect, or at least make the fundamental basis of your understanding. Okay. Because if you learn through questions, especially from the mains perspective, it's always beneficial. Rather than just knowing a topic, rather know a question's answer to the topic. Okay. Because mains again is analysis based. Yes. Now, no matter how much of facts that you carry or possess or you have mugged up, if you're not able to make sense of those facts, interlink it with, say, the other realms of topics that exist, well, your mains marks will eventually suffer. Okay. So you might again make it to the interview, but then your rank would be compromised. So that whole basis of whether you finish in the top 100 or you finish in the 700, 800 mark, that has to do with essentially your main scores. Somewhere you did, compromise on some score somewhere. So that we'll take a look at. Okay. So let's not waste any time, because again, it's a very extensive topic. It requires a lot of interlinking. So we'll just straight away jump into it, guys. Okay. So this is the question that I'm looking at, the mains question. Please do have a look at this first. Okay. This is the mains question that I'm looking at. India's high prevalence of stunting, wasting, and anemia continue to pose public health risks for children and women. Analyze the role of existing social sector schemes. Okay. And the challenges they face. So first you need to know what are the social sector schemes, your facts. Okay. All the prelims knowledge first will form the facts, the factual basis of your answer. And thereafter, the challenges that they face is the analysis. There is the mains question, okay? Which is why just knowing facts, not good enough. And thereafter, this question that has been asked in the previous year, in the year 2012, close to a decade ago, okay? What is the part, which of them are the part of inclusive governance? Firstly, what is inclusive governance? Firstly, you have to realize that. So inclusive governance is when all the state institutions, its bodies, all the stakeholders are including the public, the people in the planning process, in the service delivery process, that people are an inherent part of public policy. Okay? That you cannot serve people without taking into their considerations first. I will spell out the channel Bulbul here. Wait, I'll first give it out to you, then we will go forward in this discussion. Okay, where is that particular slide? Oop, 1 second. Bulbul, I'll just give you the channel name. Yeah, it is t.me/Bhuvan, Bhuvan, StudyIQ, StudyIQ. Okay, I'll repeat it again. t.me/Bhuvan, StudyIQ. All right, please join me, Bulbul. I'll be happy to have you there. Okay. We'll move forward with the topic, guys. So coming back to the topic now, when you look at inclusive governance, so exclusively essentially what it means is that people are a part of the governance process. That all the outlook of all the bodies that exist, they are people oriented. It's citizen centric. Okay? So now just take a look at this question and tell me, because you'll be able to figure out the answer to this straight away. There is not much to understand here. Permitting the non-banking financial companies to do banking. Okay. Establishing effective district planning committees, increasing the government spending on public health, midday meal schemes. See, where are people involved? Okay. Where is it that that particular thing is straight away helping people? Okay. That it is people oriented. Look at it. If district planning committees are established, which means that you are essentially empowering local self-governance, which means that you are giving more power, decentralization of power is happening, okay? Which means people are being empowered, absolutely a part of inclusive governance, okay? Increasing the government spending on health, social public capital you are increasing, okay? You are empowering people. In fact, it is, WHO report says that for every $1 that you spend on public health, okay, making sure that public health is accessible and available, you are going to get returns of up to 25 times. So you realize, why is it important to spend on, say, education, on health, on insurance? Because you're essentially uplifting the people. Right now, it might seem like why we are doing it, but eventually the society just comes up because they have access to opportunities. And for access to opportunities, you need eligibility at some point. You need to be mentally fortified, nutritionally sound, okay? You should have, say, a dispensary or a whatever, clinic, whatever in that state has empowered you to go and access, okay? So, public health, for sure, inclusive governance, midday meal scheme, children. Like I said, nutritional aspect is taken care of by the midday meal schemes. So, which means this is also a part of inclusive governance. However, the non-banking financial companies doing banking, this is institutional focus here. Okay? Institutional focus. Institutional focus is not exactly a part of inclusive governance. It is just widening the ambit of that particular body. Okay? So this is not a part of inclusive governance. Straight away, whatever is people-centric will help the people in the long run, inclusive governance. Good morning, Rajan. Welcome everyone. Okay? So let's have a look. Do keep this question in mind, guys, as we discuss ICDS today. Okay? Because eventually, you will have to know about these, the challenges that they are facing right now. So let's go straight away into what is exactly ICDS, the Integrated Child Development Scheme, something that started in the year 1975. So you can realize it's almost a 4-decade-old scheme, okay, which means that it is so important, firstly, okay, that it is actually serving something very important, which is why it has continued for close to 4 decades. How many years, in fact? Yeah, for close to 4 decades. Okay? For 50 years, ho hi jayega abhi. So launched in 1975, it is one of the world's largest programs providing for an integrated package of services for the child. Like the name says, no? if you have a look at the name, you will understand straight away what it is meaning. ICDS, Integrated Child Development Scheme. Integrated, which means that there are certain different constituents of this whole scheme. Good morning, Geronimo. Oh, I like your name, Geronimo. I was that not the code name of that Osama bin Laden, right? That operation was called Geronimo, I believe. Okay. So ICDS is essentially that you have certain constituents, okay, which will be a part of the whole goal to develop the child. So what are the constituents? Think for a moment now, forget all this bookish knowledge. If you are part of the planning process and you are told that go ahead, tell me what a newborn baby is faced with. What are the problems, say, from the child up till adolescent stage? You will straight away come up with, say, education. You will come up with, say, nutrition, access to food, medical, say, vaccination on time, preschool, making sure that lactating mothers or the mothers that are there, they are also nutritionally supported. That is all. Integrated child development scheme is to do with all of these. Not just the child, but the development of the child up till adolescent. Okay, making sure that they are nutritionally supported, that they have access to education, at least preschool education is taken care of. And who is the third stakeholder? The mother. So that is what essentially this whole thing does. Okay, provides for supplementary nutrition, see, vaccinations, immunization, and preschool education, okay, of the children. First stakeholder, the child, जिसके लिए policy बनाया हमने, right? The Integrated Child Development Scheme. Now the scheme is centrally sponsored scheme, which is implemented by the state governments and union territories. The nodal ministry is WCD ministry, the Women and Child Development Ministry, right? So obviously, straight away you realize that if you are going to serve, say, the children, the women, just union government alone can't do it, because eventually the DC of the district will be responsible for, say, service delivery there. If the DC is doing it, which means the state government is also involved, because the DC is under the direct control of the state government. So it has both components, union plus state. Okay, nodal ministry obviously will be at the union, state won't be the union ministry for this. Okay? So what are the 6 particular things that it looks to do? Firstly, understand that ICDS serves children of 0 to 6 years. And the second stakeholder, pregnant and lactating mothers. 2 stakeholders, like I told you. Okay, 2 stakeholders straight away. Now what does it do? Supplementary nutrition, preschool education, again health and nutrition education, vaccination, that is immunization, health checkups, referral services. Just making sure that they have access to, say, the basics of living, that they have fair and equitable access to that. Okay, let's get the children up until 6 years in a healthy manner, and then we'll take care of their education. But before that, before, say, a student or a child has to enter school, there needs to be a certain foundation built for the child. Okay, that the child should have, say, nutritious food. Eventually, if malnutrition is there, then no matter how much of education you give, there will be stunting, wasting, anemia, lack of physical development, which means lack of mental development, which means the earning potential of the person will be compromised. So you see, the focus is on right at the basic, from birth up until 6 years. And not just for the child, but also for the mother, because again, both are equal stakeholders in this process. Okay. So ICDS, going forward now, what are the objectives? So look at it now. Improves the nutritional and health status of children in the age group 0 to 6 years. Just the start, the beginning of the child's life. Okay. It lays the foundation for proper psychological, physical and social development. Like I told you, it has to take care of everything. Everything, all of these, no guys. Get out from that privileged mindset for a second. That we take these things for granted, you know. That, okay, when we were born, our parents were there. If there was something wrong, we would be quickly rushed to a clinic, this, that. We would have the best of food, milk, this, that. All of that was available. But for the underprivileged, those who are, say, not privileged enough to get this, the state needs to fulfill its commitments, because again, it's a responsibility. So the state is taking care of all of this. Things that we took for, say, granted, but again, it can't be taken for granted for the whole population. Especially when again you have so many people who are still, say, below the BPL. Poverty is a huge problem. Okay. So what you are looking to do? Reduce the incidence of mortality, morbidity, malnutrition, and school dropout. Mortality of what? The child and the mother, which means child mortality, infant mortality rate, and maternal mortality rate. Both are looking to be covered through this. Prenatal mortality and after delivery also. Right? Malnutrition, you don't want like kids who are not nutritionally fortified. It's straight away. The journey from malnutrition to poverty is very quick, and it's straight away a direct link. Okay, if you're a victim of malnutrition, you're not just your physical growth is affected, your mental growth is affected, which means your education will be affected, which means your earning potential will be affected, which means your growth and contribution to the economy will be affected, which means it becomes a circular thing. So poverty, malnutrition, back to poverty again. So to break this circle, you need to make sure that access to quality, nutritious food, which is why you hear this midday meal scheme. So game changer. But then implementation, right? You have certain states that say, okay, we'll not give egg or we'll not give that. Doesn't make sense. You have to look at it from a scientific perspective. What is necessary in terms of kilocalories for a child to be nutritionally stable? Okay. Within the ambit of the law, feed them everything that is there. Okay. So you have to look at it from that point of view. So it aims to achieve effective coordination of policy and implementation amongst the various departments. Fine. Enhance the capability of the mother. Mother is an equal stakeholder in this process, guys. Because again, if the mother is a victim of malnutrition, therein begins the cycle of poverty. That if the child is, say, underweight, then again poverty, so again malnutrition, then the story continues. So to break the circle, two places of intervention. One, fortify the mother's nutrition, give her access to good food, say medicines on time, folic tablets you must be knowing, all pregnant mothers are given. So all of that bare minimum, but make sure that it's there, available. Only then are you going to break this whole cycle of, oh, we are poor country. Only then you'll be able to break that, no? Or else it's like a circular thing. You're back to it again for the next generation. So what's the point? Okay. So enhance the capability of the mother to look after the normal health and nutrition needs of the child through proper nutrition and health education. What is health education? That they're aware, okay, of what to do, when to do, sanitation, hygiene. All of that is told to them. Lack of awareness again. If you go to the hinterlands, most of the people probably may not be aware that, okay, such and such method is done to fortify yourself against such and such disease. Lack of awareness has to be countered through how? Only through educating them, through making sure that they have access to information. Okay. So this is done. Most of this work, health education, in fact, is done by the two constituents of Prasar Bharati, AIR and Doordarshan. So they have programs in, again, regional languages that work to inform the public, because again, private channels won't do it. It's not revenue sustainable for them. So these government channels come and educate the public with a language, in a language that the public can understand. So you see, this whole thing is again under the nodal control of Women and Child Ministry. But then it will require support from, say, the IB Ministry, the Information Broadcasting, because again, they can't alone do this. So you see how multi-stakeholders are formed in a policy, that even though the nodal ministry is one, the whole objectives of the program cannot be reached by it alone. Okay, so let's go forward. What's the fund mechanism and sharing? So let's look at how it is done. All components of ICDS except Supplementary Nutrition Program, SNP. Okay, we'll see how SNP is done. They're financed through a 60-40 ratio. Very important from the prelims perspective. Okay, this ratio needs to be remembered, which means that center will give 60% of the bill, the states will give 40% of the bill. Okay, so there again is that financial division done, because it's the responsibility of both the parties, center as well as the state. Okay, and the Supplementary Nutrition Program. So this is a part of the whole ICDS, the SNP, and its component is 50-50. In the Northeast, you have 90-10. Okay, again, Northeast, you'll have to empower them first. Okay, they have their own set of challenges, which is why the union government needs to do a lot more there. Okay. So this is again factual thing. You will just remember it. Eventually, even if you don't remember it, please understand that as a whole project, the center has the bigger onus of ICDS always. Okay. Because again, the nodal ministry is from the Women and Child Ministry, the Development Ministry. So under the supplementary nutrition program, beneficiaries are given hot meals along with take-home rations, both. You can eat it in the campus, or if you want, you take it home. For children, the quantum of rations and meals depends on their malnutrition levels. So again, you will see that a particular rupee is allocated, particular amount of rupees is allocated for, say, a child who is categorized as, say, just malnutrition based, or someone who is a victim of severe acute malnutrition, different amount. Lactating mothers, different amount. Okay, adolescent girls, different amount. So all of that we'll discuss. What are the different amounts? Okay, so you have these stakeholders that are served. Children, severely malnourished, or severely acutely malnourished also it is called. Okay, adolescent girls, pregnant and lactating mothers, all of them are beneficiaries under this scheme. What is the exact quantum of benefit offered by the state, the government? We'll have a look. Okay. So now the role of the Anganwadi worker. Essentially, this whole policy, ICDS, in spite of the fact that, say, it is controlled by nodal ministries, women and child, states do it, DC is responsible. All of these are the generals of this war. The actual foot soldier of the war, the person who's actually going to do the job for you on the ground, is the Anganwadi worker. Okay, or as we know her, if you have been in the hinterlands, if you have been in the rural areas, Anganwadi Didi. Okay, so that Anganwadi Didi is the cornerstone of the whole project. Without her active participation, or his active, even if it's male, without the person's active participation, you are not looking at a complete coverage. In fact, this will only exist on paper. So which is why the person's role, the Anganwadi worker's role, is of extremely critical importance. Okay. So she or he bears the onus of advancing child nutrition, health, education in their communities. Why is communities important? I had discussed in yesterday's class. Just a second. 1 second, guys. Sorry. So why I discussed community, why I'm telling you communities? Because in yesterday's class I told you that most of the policy, if it has to become eventually a reality, you need to go to the LCM of the whole policy, the least common denominator. And in this case, it is the Anganwadi worker. So unless you are going ahead and empowering the Anganwadi worker, you will not be able to empower the communities, which are the bedrock of this whole policy. Okay. So again, critical importance. Okay, all of this, union ministry, state government, district magistrate, block development officer, all of these are side players. Okay, they have limited intervention capabilities on paper. Okay, they'll eventually be doing the lot of the work will be done by the Anganwadi worker. In fact, majority of the work. So look at their roles now. They are like heroes. They do multiple things. Multitasking, if you want to know, you learn it from an Anganwadi worker. Look at them, what they do. From employing modern technology like smartphones and applications to practical tasks such as delivering health education, managing feeding programs, liaising with auxiliary nurse midwives and other healthcare professionals. Imagine the ambit of this work. From the digital to the physical, everything hinges on the Anganwadi worker. Okay. As a result, they are frequently stretched beyond their limits. Herein is your first challenge, guys. Herein is the main question that we had put forward, the first challenge, that Anganwadi workers are overstretched, that their remit of responsibility is far too much. And again, there are far too less of them. If you look at the basic stats, there are around 14 lakh Anganwadi centers in the country. Okay, Anganwadi centers in the country. Okay. And so the article by Vivek Debroy, it says that even if just one were to be hired, one extra Anganwadi worker for all of the centers, you are going to look at returns of up to 20 to 30 times of that investment. Okay. So understaffing is a major issue. Major issue. So they are frequently stretched beyond their limits, which means they are understaffed. Okay, herein is your first challenge. And despite 4 decades, look at it, 1975 till 2023, the ICDS still faces the Herculean task of ameliorating the nutritional and health outcomes for children aged 0 to 6 years. The second challenge, that even though this policy has been in place for close to 4 or 5 decades, in spite of that, firstly, our poverty levels haven't ameliorated to the level that we would have expected. At the same time, nutritional levels are still struggling. Okay, a lot needs to be done. A lot obviously has been done. No one is denying that. But then, as a country, if we have been unable to do something in 4 years, there needs to be a relook as to how service delivery is being done. Okay, how can it be done better? So therein is it, that in spite of 4 decades, we have 4 decades of experience of learning in this project, delivering this particular project. Okay. So you understand the level of data that exists. 4 decades of government file work exists across districts. Yet those learnings from those file work need to be taken out to understand as to how going forward we can make it much more citizen-centric and citizen-oriented. Okay, that we have been unable to effectively harness such a brilliant project up until now points to a systemic failure somewhere. So that needs to be addressed. A structural failure exists. Okay? So now that we have understood the role of the Anganwadi worker, yeah, let's look at this stat, guys. 14 lakh Anganwadi centers, like I told you. Okay? So what should be the way forward now? How are we going to go ahead and address this understaffing bit that I told you? That the main general, that the main soldier of your whole war against malnutrition, against poverty, all of that, less in number. You don't have many soldiers. So what should you do? If you get more, first, it would lead to better health and educational outcomes. The addition of a half-time worker effectively doubles the net preschool instructions time, which leads to improvements in health and language scores. So it's essentially saying that for 14 lakh, even if you get one extra Anganwadi worker, what you're looking at is better educational outcomes. Okay? But you have to make sure that the Anganwadi worker is also trained, at least to a certain basic level. Because please understand, at that particular level, when you're looking at preschool instruction for the children between 0 to 6, that's the policy about. So what kind of level you are looking at? Identification of colors, basic ABCD, basic number identification, shapes. That's what you do in preschool. No more, no less. So at least that level of basic proficiency should be there. Okay. And by basic proficiency, I mean only that, no, identification of colors or shapes or alphabets or numbers. Essentially what a student or what a entry student, someone who's going to enter KG or nursery should know. Bare minimum, nothing like extreme. Okay, so that should be done. Secondly, children who remained enrolled also exhibited reduced rate of child stunting and severe malnutrition. Why does this happen? If a child goes to school, not just the educational outcomes are taken care of, you are going to give midday meal, right? There will be continuous nutritional support from the state, which means better health outcomes, which means the malnutrition cycle of malnutrition and poverty you are breaking. So this is also going to be addressed again if you address the problem of understaffing. Because right now the current status is that the people are far too overstretched. They are doing multiple things at one time. Another very close example to this are, say, the government teachers. Okay. Now look at how problems arise. Government teachers, they don't just teach. On weekends, they have, say, some other official engagement. Election duty, they are given. So what happens? Because they are moving away from the primary job of teaching, they are also doing, say, X stuff plus Y stuff plus Z stuff. So once you are diverted from your primary purpose, if you are also going to be doing election duty, where is the time to, say, revise for a teacher or to add to their knowledge? Because to teach someone, you need to at least go back to the books, understand, revise it yourself so that you don't miss anything specific, anything that will be of importance to the child. Teachers don't get that, at least government teachers don't get that access, don't get that time only. If you don't get, say, off for, say, 4 weeks, anyone will be frustrated and fed up. Let alone why the motivational levels in government teachers so low? Because again, they are just overstretched. They don't have holidays. And again, this is not to do with all across the state. Certain states you have, say, government teachers who never turn up only. Life is a holiday for them. But where you have, say, effective monitoring going on, this should be addressed. Okay. So similarly, that's the problem with the Anganwadi worker also. Thirdly, the cost of a nationwide rollout of this model is relatively insignificant. Okay, look at it. In terms of lifetime earnings, you are going to recoup up to 13 to 21 times if you just get one extra Anganwadi worker. Why? How are you going to do this? How is this improvement going to happen? Because you are investing in the health, because you are investing in education, and not just of, say, a select group, but mothers and children, both, who are effectively going to lay the foundation of a next generation, right? So this is where you talk about that circle of poverty, no guys, from malnutrition to poverty. If you have to break this circle, you have to quickly address the problems of the child and the mother, right? Fourth, the new Anganwadi worker can be given the responsibility of concentrating only on preschool and childhood education. So when you see that particular thing here, that what all exactly are they doing? Have a look at this. The roles that they play. So you see they're doing from digital to physical, everything they're doing in the middle. However, this education bit, this preschool education, this identification of the basics, if you give that to the extra Anganwadi worker, then the rest that is being done, that will be further enhanced. The efficiency will be better. Just reduce the workload and see the outcomes that follow. Maybe the problem right now is that the person is far too overstretched, far too less in number. Okay. At the same time, if you have, say, 14 lakh Anganwadi centers, and if you get, say, one extra for each, which means you're going to employ 14 lakh people. More job opportunities. Yes. Especially in the rural areas. If you have more job opportunities in the rural areas, the rural to urban migration can be stopped. Okay. More income distribution in the rural areas, more empowerment, more development. Okay. Because again, for this scheme, you'll need to have, say, preschool. You will see the components of ICDS. So once you start investing in each one of them, you will see the rural community just comes up by itself. You are doing, say, systemic change right from the bottom. That is very important when you consider the long-term outlook. Okay. So going forward, yes. All right. So before we go forward, guys, take a small break, have some water, have some chai. And I'll tell you about this particular course that is beginning on the 19th. So we don't have a long time to go for this. But then again, very briefly, within a minute, if I have to tell you about this course, well, the prelims to interview series is the first, in fact, hybrid model of preparation that is being offered across India. And how exactly is it hybrid? Well, up until prelims results, you are connected with us online. Okay. Everyday classes, everyday sessions, CSAT, GS, whatever, everything is included. And the best of faculty. In fact, I'm a part of that group. I have seen the other faculty members. Best of individuals with immense knowledge. And I say this as someone who has interacted with them. I'm a part of that group, so I know who are my colleagues. And so this whole thing is going to happen till the prelims results. After that, those who clear, you come and join us here. 24/7 availability of all faculty members, of all teachers. And for those weak moments, during the preparation, when you're studying and then suddenly you're like, oh my God, this is all not worth it. My friends are all going abroad and getting married and having kids, and here am I reading NCERT geography. At those moments, you will have exclusive mentoring sessions, not just by our mentors, but we'll introduce you to our panel of IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS officers who have served the country with great dignity and a successful career in public service. They will tell you that it's actually, it's a part of the process. Those low moments are a part of the process. And how you overcome those moments is what eventually determines your success or your failure. So this prelims to interview series is something that's beginning on the 19th of this month. The orientation session begins on the 19th. So you would be best advised that if you are someone who is genuinely interested for the UPSC 2024, but again, don't want to spend unnecessarily the lakhs of rupees that you might eventually end up spending in one of these fancy nagars in New Delhi, then come join us for this. Okay, it's only for serious students. Batches are small. We are not going to have batches like you have in these fancy nagars, 300 students attending a class, no one's doubt getting solved. It's like a matinee show. None of that. It's going to be small batches, focused intervention, and making sure that you're absolutely prepped up for the prelims, the mains, and the interviews. Okay. So use this code if you're interested. use the code BALIVE, and I will see you on the 19th evening at 6 p.m. as we will begin what will be the journey of an individual to become a part of the steel frame of this country. It's something that we are all geared toward, making sure that it becomes a reality for you, because again, in your success lies our success, right? So this is what I have to offer for you, and we'll go back to the topic now. Okay, keep your chais and your pani away now. So the schemes now, let's look at the schemes under ICDS. Okay, so like I told you, different schemes are there, around 6 major schemes, and thereafter we'll take a look at portion 2.0. Okay, so let's look at the first scheme, the Anganwadi Services Scheme, which I was just telling you about. So the program for early childhood care and development, beneficiaries are children in the age group of 0 to 6, pregnant and lactating women. The 3 stakeholders of this process. In fact, there are 2, just 1, and pregnant and lactating are 1 only, so 2. 6 services, like I told you, covered under the ICDS scheme. Please know the names, guys. Please know the names of this. Supplementary Nutritional Scheme, Preschool Non-Formal Education, Nutrition and Health Education, Immunization, Health Checkup, and Referral Services. We'll take a look at each one of them now. The whole cycle of what is required for a child and the mother is covered under this scheme. Like if you look at it policy-wise, that the fact it was born in 1975 and even now we are in 2023, that it has continued, it should tell you the importance of this scheme. That the government of India will not do something for say 4 or 5 decades until and unless it realizes that yes, it is integral to India. Okay. So very, very important, guys. You cannot go to your mains examination without having studied ICDS. It's a cardinal sin. In fact, I remember students who read books on this, because such is the depth that is available when you try to form the cross linkages, the economic problems that arise out of malnutrition. So much of content, fodder material you can get for your answers if you just study ICDS in depth. Okay. So again, I can't do the whole in-depth part for this in 1 hour. I'll probably have to spend at least 2 hours, 3 hours for this to make sure that you understand the whole cross linkages. But I will give you the basics of all the information that you need so that you can frame a solid answer to that mains question. Okay. So the Anganwadi Services Scheme is one thing. Number 2 is the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Matru is related to mother. Okay. Wherein you give a amount of 5,000 rupees in 3 installments, and it goes through DBT, direct benefit transfer, to pregnant and lactating women, making sure that their needs are taken care of. So if you have say 5,000 rupees in 3 equal installments, it helps a lot, especially when you're looking at the 9-month period. When you need money for tests, when you need money for medicines, when you need daily supplements. If you have been around a pregnant lady, you will realize that every day you have to take immense care. Okay. Not just say from tests and follow-up appointments with the doctor, but also making sure that the nutrition is taken care of, that the lady is having good nutritious food. Okay. That no badly cooked food or outside food is being fed. It's not desired at that time. It's a very critical moment, from 0 to 9 months. So you obviously need money for that. So Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Now for this, guys, from an interview perspective, one question that you should ask yourself before I go forward, since I always tell you that we cover the whole gamut from prelims up until interview, here is an interview question that you should try answering. Okay. Are you in favor of having these yojanas, say, named as Pradhan Mantri or Mukhya Mantri or whatever? Or are you in favor of having names of particular individuals? Okay. Why and what is your justification? Okay. And if you say that, yes, I am in favor of all of this, that yes, all of these policies should not include a person's name, then the next follow-up question I'll ask you is, so are you advocating that all of these names, say X Yojana, Y Yojana, a person-specific Yojana that exist, should all of them be renamed? And then I'll ask you, so are you also in favor of renaming all the cities and towns? See how questions are formed? From one particular question, I'll go so in-depth that you will be contradicting yourself within the 3rd, 4th question. Okay. So this is necessary from the interview perspective. Whenever I tell you, guys, in prelims, focus on the facts. For mains, focus on the analysis. But finally, when you come to the interview, you'll have to focus on opinion. Okay, because this has been checked by UPSC. This has been checked by UPSC. They want to check this. You will need to have and develop some amount of opinion. That can't happen after the mains results come in less than 2 weeks. And you don't make your opinion based on, say, the period of preparation. You take in your account your whole life experiences. Okay. Think about how you have faced problems, how you have overcome them. What's your outlook of life? What's your outlook of public policy? Since you're going to be a part of the steel frame, you can't go in all blank, no? So start from today. Opinion shaping is something that will take time to get refined. But once you have refined it, you can answer any interview with ease. You'll be like, yeah, ask me some more questions, I'll tell you some better answers. It'll be like that. So to reach that, obviously, this has to be taken care of. This I will take care of for you. And this is something that we will extensively work on. Especially in the P2I course, we are going to chisel you and make sure that you are a refined individual. It will be done, taken care of. So, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. Do make sure, if you know the answer to this or if you want to take an answer to this, regarding the naming of projects, tell me in the comment box below. What's your opinion? Should projects be named after, say, constitutional or say just political positions, PM, MM, whatever? Or it should be name specific, say Bhuvan Yojana. Are you in favor of something like that? Okay. All right. Next one, the creche scheme. Creche, a place where you leave the children when the mother goes out for her particular work or whatever, when her responsibilities, commitments are outside. So at that time, you need daycare facilities. Age group of 6 months to 6 years, 7.5 hours per day for 26 days a month. Another criticism of this policy is this is too less. Average working day any place is 8 hours minimum. So what are you going to do for the next 30 minutes? Leave the child outside the creche gate? Huh? See, this is how you identify, what's your daily working hour? At least 9:30 to 6:30? Or 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., whatever it is. Is it fulfilling the commitment? No. You need more. Okay. What if you get in for call for extra day? In tea estates in Assam. In fact, tea estates in Assam and Darjeeling. Okay. You will see that they have creche facility for their workers, their tea workers. Why is it that? So that the mother is at ease. The ease of mind is taken care of. Because for a mother, the child is the most important thing, But then for a state, both of them are important. So what do you need to do? Because the mother also has to go to work, right? So you need creche facility. So this is taken care of. National creche scheme. Children are provided with nutrition, childcare, education, health and sleeping facilities. Essentially the basic that they need. They should be given food. They should be able to play, chill out, hang out. And when they fall asleep, let them sleep in a comfortable place. That's what creche is about. Okay. So NCS is also taken care of. Thereafter, you have a scheme for adolescent girls. Okay. Aims at out of school girls. Please understand, those who haven't been a part of the schooling process yet, in the age group 11 to 14, empower and improve their status through nutrition, life skills and home skills. Basically making sure that the health is taken care of, that education is taken care of, and that they are able to at least fulfill the basic criteria. The basic criteria is taken care of so that they can possibly be reintroduced in schools. Okay. Schemes has nutritional and non-nutritional components. Make a note of this, guys, please. Okay. Specific fodder material for a prelims question. If it just asks you 2 statements about the scheme for adolescent girls under ICDS, you should know that yes, it has both non-nutritional and nutritional. Khana bhi dena hai, padhana bhi hai. ठीक है? Which include iron and folic acid supplements, health checkup, okay, mainstreaming out of school girls so that they can finally join school. So at least give them the basics. If they do not know, say, what is 1 plus 2 plus 3, then how are they going to solve differential and calculus and all of that later in life? So you need basic schooling that has to be served before they join, say, class 3, 4, 5, whatever they are hoping to join, or class 1 or 2, whatever. कुछ तो पता होना चाहिए ना, नहीं तो क्या पढ़ाओगे आप? ठीक है? Skill training, life skill education, home management, counseling guidance. Why is 11 to 14 being targeted, guys? Can someone tell me the rationale behind 11 to 14? What is the rationale? At that particular age, puberty hits girls. So they start menstruating at that particular age group. So you quickly need to make sure that they are taken care of. Their health needs are taken care of. That they have access to, say, sanitary napkins, pads. Their dignity is taken care of. Right? So which is why this particular age group is targeted. Because puberty hits exactly around this time, 11 to 14, 15. Clear? Is that clear to everyone in the chat? Yes, the chat is moving pretty slow today. Normally it was some people come and write something. Let me see how many are watching. Just let me know in the chat very quickly. I can't even see how many are watching here. Let me see. Okay, if you're watching this, just throw me a like or throw me a comment in the chat very quickly. Fine. The final one is the Child Protection Scheme, which aims to contribute to the improvement and well-being of the children in difficult circumstances. Look at it, child protection. What if the father is a drunkard? Huh? Forget the violence bit. Just drunkard, he's apathetic. He does not care about the child or the mother. So counseling sessions are needed. The father should be told that, hey, you are a father, do the things, the responsibilities of a father. Okay. For that, the state intervenes. So the Child Protection Scheme, wherever there are children in difficult circumstances, to reduce their vulnerabilities of abuse or neglect. Yeah, drunkard father not paying attention to the child, the drunkard father will be counseled. Go, pay attention to your child. Okay. Exploitation, abandonment, separation, all of that. Basically protect them from their own parents also. Okay. That the parents can't be trusted. Eventually, thanks Rajan, thanks for letting me know. Okay. So that the parents also know sometimes because of lack of education or say social status or say just money problems, they are unable to fulfill their commitments. Okay. So at least counseling session is given to them that, hey, these are the things that exist. Stop doing what you are doing. Possibly do these and you will have a better way forward. Okay. So this is essentially what? You're protecting the child even from problems at home. All right. Now these two things are to be remembered, guys. Poshan versus Poshan 2.0, the Abhiyan that is coming up. And in fact, in place, Poshan Abhiyan. Okay. So Poshan Abhiyan, it targets to reduce the level of stunting. What exactly is stunting firstly? Quickly understand this. Okay, because I've used this word but I've not explained, so I should. Stunting is essentially when your physical growth is not equal to the expected growth of an individual at that particular age. So for example, if you have hit say around the age of 15 years and if you are still very short or if your body structure is weak, you look like you are not growing at the rate that one should be, then you are possibly you're stunted. Okay, you have the stunting problem, again to do with malnutrition. That is direct correlation is with malnutrition, guys. If a person is a victim of malnutrition, this follows immediately. Okay. Undernutrition, anemia, especially for the girl child, which is why you give folic acid, iron acid you give, no? Iron tablets you give. Look at it here. In the adolescent girls, aren't you giving them iron and folic acid supplements? Look at this. Why? So that they don't get anemia. At least they combat against anemia. What is anemia? Lack of iron in the blood. Okay? Low birth weight. Okay? All of this by young children, focusing on adolescent girls, pregnant women, lactating mothers. Essentially taking care of from 0 to 6, 11 to 14. Everyone is included in the Poshan Abhiyan. Okay? And you are looking at the holistic part of nutrition. Okay? Look at it. You're looking at not just say underweight babies, you're also looking at anemia. So you're looking at right from say the baby bit, the child bit up until adolescence. You see how the state intervenes? On paper, all of these policies are fabulous, guys. If you just study them now, my God, the whole outlook is really well thought out. Okay. Poshan Abhiyan 2.0, which I think the finance minister announced a couple of years ago, for severe acute malnourished children. Look at this. This is for the other stakeholders. Poshan 2.0 is to do with just those babies, those kids that are severely, acutely malnourished. Okay. So what essentially happened, understand in one line. Aspirational districts of India. Okay, the ones that were lagging behind, we call them as the aspirational district. So the aspirational districts were identified, and then the central government said, the union government said that, well, we are going to launch Poshan 2.0 in these districts, and it has a twofold process. One essentially is that you will celebrate a Poshan Mah, okay, a month of dedicated to nutrition, okay, which is essentially the fundamental. You're starting from there. And second is that in that district you will set up a Poshan Vatika, which is like a farm, organic farm, which will supplement this whole project. So what are you looking to do again? For nutrition of the kids, the mothers, the babies, all of that, you are also addressing the backward linkages. If you have a farm which is going to deliver organic products to this front group, which means you are having some form of employment there. It is organic, which means it is going to be absolutely clean, no chemical problems involved there. So you see, forward backward linkages form. To address this, you are making employment here, and they will support the raw material. Okay. So this is the Poshan Vatika, which is for organic food growing. Okay, it's like a farm, you can understand, or a nursery, whatever, wherein they will grow all these products. So the Abhiyan targets to reduce stunting, undernutrition, anemia, and reduce low birth weight by these particular percentage. Right? So this is the whole overview of Poshan Abhiyan versus Poshan 2.0. Right? So once again, to recap everything for you, ICDS is a premier scheme of the Government of India, which includes these particular schemes: the Anganwadi service scheme, the creche, the Poshan. Thereafter, you are looking at addressing adolescent girls, all of that. Poshan 2.0 is only for severe acute malnourished children. That is the only difference, guys. Stakeholders are different, and the rates of making sure that they go down, that is different. Otherwise, the whole project in itself targets at the same stakeholders. Okay. So now let's look at the question, guys. Before I wrap up today's class, have a look at this question now. Yes. Have a look at this question now. India's high prevalence of stunting, wasting, and anemia continues to pose public health risks. Analyze the role of the existing social sector schemes. Will you be able to do this now? The role of the social sector schemes in addressing anemia, in addressing undernutrition, malnutrition, maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, all of this. And the challenges they face: talk about the Anganwadi worker, talk about funding, talk about local self-governance, talk about health issues, awareness issues, all of that are a part of the challenges. Right? This is how you are going to form your answers. And so, which is why for mains it is well advised that you look at it not just from the width of perspective, but also from the depth of perspective. Okay? So that should reflect in your answers, especially for those who are preparing for mains. Obviously, if you are preparing for next year prelims, you cannot go wrong if you prepare this way. You will remember because you are remembering through practice rather than reading novels and then hoping that you remember the novel. Okay. All right, guys. So before I wrap up, once again, may I request all of you, please do make sure that you consider joining this particular P2I course, because we are beginning on the 19th of June. And last evening I had inquired, and I don't think many seats are left. Again, because the whole onus is on having small batches. So if you are considering, I would suggest you make haste. 19th, 6 p.m. is when we start a journey, 1 year journey of you and I being equally invested in making sure that you crack the civil services. Okay, that's the whole agenda at discussion. All right. And so with that, on that note, my dear students, my dear audience, I thank each one of you for joining me as we discussed the Integrated Child Development Scheme in the Editorial Edge, the daily news analysis every morning at 8 a.m. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing, guys. Okay, it's a channel of immense benefit to you. Right? You will subscribe to all the other gaming channels and this channels and that channels, prank channels, fine. But for UPSC, you need clear, focused, targeted information that comes to you every day. Okay? And so StudyIQ IAS English is doing that on a daily basis. You'll be surprised at the kind of content that we have planned for you in the coming days. So make sure that you stay updated, subscribe to the channel, and join me every morning at 8 a.m. for the Editorial Edge, as tomorrow we'll take a look at a very important topic. I've already planned it out, thought it out, the PPTs are done, and so we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8. Don't miss it. Thanks for joining. Have a very good day.